All right, good morning. Welcome to Market Pulse on Hot 96. My name is Jimmy Bogo, and today we want to have a look at Safaricom's performance for the full year ending, that is 2024. And I'm joined by Safaricom CEO Peter Ndegwa. Peter, welcome to the program.
Thank you, and nice to be here.
All right, so one of the things that we have seen in the performance is just looking at the net income for Kenya. This grew by about 13.7% to 84.7 billion. Looking at the group level, this grew by 1.2% to about 63 billion shillings. And I just want you to take us through some of the major headwinds that you saw in 2024.
So first is great news to report that Kenya has hit a major milestone. The Safaricom Kenya has hit a major milestone, earning before interest and tax being 140 billion Kenya shillings. That's $1 billion. Yeah. We are the first company to hit that milestone, which is fantastic. And we've seen very strong top line growth in Kenya at 11.7%. Very strong bottom line growth, as you said, 13.7%, but also very good acceleration in terms of cash generation. And this is despite a challenging environment. So where you saw inflation going up, interest rates up, energy costs, but also all the local and global macroeconomic issues that we've seen. The reason why we've been able to deliver that great performance in Kenya is we've given more value to our customers. The growth has been broad-based. In voice, we've seen reasonably good performance, but the star performance was mobile data, which grew significantly. M-Pesa, so mobile data grew by 20%. M-Pesa grew double digit, and also our fixed business, which is our home business. And we have been able to give more value to our customers. We've reduced price in mobile data by 65%, in M-Pesa by 60%, but also in voice by 40%. So that's the reason. So we are giving more value, we are understanding our customers better, we are improving experience, and we are using more personalized service to customers. So we tailor services depending on what the customer wants.
All right, Peter, one of the things that we were hoping to hear today is on the progress of the separation of M-Pesa from Safaricom. We had a conversation with the central bank governor, and he said that there's a 75 million tax that needs to be addressed. Has this issue been addressed, and how soon is that separation going to happen?
So I know there has always been a question, should we keep M-Pesa and Safaricom together, the connectivity and the financial services business together, or should it be separate? And partly because others have done it, MTN and Airtel and so on and so forth. But we've always been successful in Kenya because we have kept it together. It benefits customers. That's why it's called M-Pesa, because it's mobile based. It benefits customers. It allows us to innovate quickly. Yeah. It allows us to digitize. There is no decision that has been made by the board. There is no pressure from anyone. And I think the context around the tax piece that the governor would have responded is if we wanted to separate, the law requires certain things to be done. So you need to consider the costs of separating, reorganizing a business. So the current law is that you pay VAT, which when you are moving one business from one place to the other, and that's what was referenced. But no decision has been made by the board, no pressure from anyone. So at an appropriate time, if we wanted to, it would have to benefit customers, and it would have to benefit shareholders. Yeah. So at this stage, I would say no decision has been made.
All right, so the other thing that I want you to talk us through is around investment, and particularly how are you prioritizing investment in infrastructure and technology? And if you could give us in terms of absolute figures, both for the Kenya business and for the Ethiopian business, how much have you invested in that?
Yeah, so as part of releasing our results, we have been investing significant amounts of capital expenditure to make sure, especially in Kenya, that we are growing our Kenya business. In the current year, we invested approximately 45 billion. 47 billion Kenya shillings, which we invested. Actually, the number is 47.3 billion Kenya shillings, which is a material amount that we have invested in Kenya, and in Ethiopia, we invested 46 billion, almost equal between the two countries. And when you look at the profile of investment on the Kenya side, a third of it goes to our radio network, which is all our sites. a third of it goes to our IT side, which is all the cloud, data centers, M-Pesa side, and a third goes to the rest of the investment. And we are looking to increase that going forward. So we continue to invest quite significant amounts in terms of CapEx, and I'm happy to give you the number. So in total, the group invested 93.5 billion Kenya shillings in the year that has just ended. And now we've guided on next year, both in Kenya but also in Ethiopia.
So in terms of just some of the fundamentals that you have looked at Ethiopia to give the projection that you have in the announcement of the results, what are these baseline issues that you have looked at that to say that Ethiopia in the next 2 years or so is going to break even? Because you're working with a timeline of 2026. That's only 2 years away.
Okay, so it is true. I mean, we are in an investment phase, so you expect that when you are investing, accelerating growth of sites, by the end of this, the year we've just announced, we have 2,800 sites. We'll get to 3,500 sites by the end of next year. That's more than half of what we have in Kenya. So in a very short period, we have accelerated investment in Ethiopia. That means that now we can have the opportunity to recruit the customers, because customers only come when there is enough network. If you don't get network as you go to your rural area, then you'll go for the SIM card that gives you the right network. So it's very important to get the right scale of network for you to feel comfortable that you can do that. The second thing is, now we've launched M-Pesa, and now we can be able to accelerate the rollout of M-Pesa, and that's why we've guided that next year we'll achieve between 7 and 10 million customers, and in the medium term we'll go to between 15 and 20 million customers. Even in Safaricom, we saw the same thing. It starts slowly, it starts with an investment phase, but as soon as you get a critical mass of infrastructure, you are able to see a lot of the customers coming through. So at the end of 2026, it may not be the full year when we will break even, but sometime during 2026 we'll break even. Certainly through 2027, we will be a full break even in terms of our business. All
right, so let's talk about Fuliza, my favorite topic when it comes to Safaricom results. We're looking at 834 billion in Fuliza disbursement. And I just want to get your sentiments in terms of what is the return on that investment, because again, it's a facility issued to Kenyans. So what is the return on that investment, and how does 2024 compare to 2023?
So you'll have heard when we announced the results, we said that financial services business, or rather the credit business, declined slightly by about 9%. In the previous years, it has always grown. But if you look at it, in 2022, in year 2022, we revised the Fuliza costs and reduced the cost and restructured the facility and reduced the interest cost by 50%. So we are seeing growth in usage, but we are seeing less revenue coming through. But it's more sustainable because it's more affordable. So we are not worried about the decline in Fuliza, because the utilization is still growing. But because it's now more affordable, like for example, the first 3 days is free, so then customers can use it. Because remember, Fuliza was meant as emergency credit. It wasn't meant to be a term loan. We were finding that a lot of customers were using it for a longer period. But there are other alternative products that you can use, like Hustler Fund is 14 days. But Fuliza is an emergency credit. If you paid it within 5 days, it's very affordable. So that's the reason why you are seeing. In terms of return on investment, we always look at it in the long term rather than in the short term. But certainly, when you see growth in usage, then it means over time we will continue to have the right return.
All right, so let's talk about the value of Safaricom shares. We saw a bit of volatility in this past year, and I just want to know the assurance that you're giving to your shareholders, even as we look into 2025, and what was driving that volatility?
So first of all, I cannot say to shareholders this will be the price, because I'm not the one who determines the price. This is people who buy and sell. What we can do and what we do as management is to ensure that we are hitting the milestones on performance that we have promised investors. In this financial year, which we've just announced, we increased our group guidance by $80 million, and we have exceeded that group guidance. We have outperformed in Kenya. In fact, growth rate in Kenya is about twice what we have reported in the past. So all we can do as management is to make sure that we are delivering performance either in line or better than what investors expect. The reason why the share price is what there was volatility is also global and local issues. You saw a lot of emerging markets, especially the stock exchanges in emerging market, actually declining as money flowed back to developed markets, so almost flight back to safety. And as interest rates start to continue to grow, the stock markets became less attractive compared to bonds and so on. Yeah. So as that reverses in future, we would expect the money to come back to frontier markets. We don't know what the timing of that. It depends on the U.S. interest rates, but certainly from a performance perspective, we are the first company to hit $1 billion. Yeah. We are delivering growth that is ahead of expectation, and we are happy with the commercial progress we are making in Ethiopia. And Ethiopia will become a significant driver of our results in the future. And this is the 2024 results we have released is the highest kind of investment year. So as we go forward, we'll see less going into Ethiopia and more coming from Ethiopia in terms of return.
All right, Peter, let's wind up this conversation. And of course, recently, as soon as this past week, we've seen an advisory from the Communication Authority, and this is as far as fixed data goes. And I just want to know, is Safaricom preventing access to premises by competitors? And if so, what is your response to the Communication Authority?
So what I can say for our industry is very clear. We follow all the regulations that our Communication Authorities has in terms of what we should do. We have very clear guardrails about what each of the competitors should do. We share assets. In this country, you don't know that we have a company called American Towers, which develops assets and which are shared. We share our own assets with our competitors. So we do not have a problem with sharing assets with our competitors. And so if there's any report, we always deal with that and give the right detail to the Communication Authority. We don't give it in the media. All we say is that we are a law-abiding citizen, and we'll always do that and ensure that we follow all the guidelines that are issued either by the Communication Authority or by the central bank.
All right, Peter, thanks so much for making time to be on Market Pulse. And of course, we look forward to having such engaging conversations in the coming days. And of course, congratulations again on your performance.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you very much.
And that's all the time we have for you on Market Pulse this Wednesday. Let's do this again, same time, same place next week.
Thank you.